Kevon Wilson alongside women's basketball coach Garry Brodhead. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
We got some lights on you, a couple cameras. How you feel?
Oh, I feel good.
You comfortable?
Man. I tell you what, I'm real comfortable. It seems like I've been doing this all week, speaking to St. Martin Parish School Board, and then spoke to some 5, 6, and 7, and 8-year-olds yesterday at Fatima Elementary, and it was a blast. Coach Sales was there from the football staff. And
isn't it great when you see the kids and they're still innocent, just young, and just
I saw
no
me
cares.
all over again, man, when I was 5, man. But I had a blast.
Born and raised right here, Lafayette, Louisiana, and you're still here. Why you here, man?
Man, God, man. I think God's taking care of me. How lucky is that, though, huh? I mean, just think about it. Something you really want to do and you take pride in. I've looked at the women's program, and I've played every other sport, on down the line. But, man, I fell in love with the women's game when I was 17 years old, and I've just wanted to coach on the girls and women's side, and whether it was at the biddy level or high school, but then watch this program and knew a lot of coaches that came through here and just felt, man, we could do it here. We could really make something special here. And the university gave me this opportunity. I mean, I really don't know who gets these kind of chances, or opportunities. So we're going to make the best of it. But it's just fun, Everything about what I do is great.
When did you fall in love with basketball?
When I was, I think I started playing when I was about 7 or 8 years old. Put the ball in my hand and really wasn't very good with my left, and tried to work on it. It was a challenge for me, and again, just in the driveway, started playing. We didn't have biddy basketball and all those organizations back then, so we never really played organized basketball until the 6th grade. And then, I just loved it, man.
You saying you taught yourself how to dribble?
I did. Actually, my brother-in-law was a little bit older than me. He was really good. He had started at a young age. He was probably about 4 years older than me, and he would kind of laugh at me because I couldn't do things, and so he kind of challenged me. Yeah, a little motivation. And he was very good. So I kind of was taught some things through there, and it's just a shame we had to do it in the driveway until school ball came, and really you had 7th and 8th grade, and I just can kind of remember making a 7th and 8th grade team as a 6th grader, and kind of fell in love, man. It was just a great, great game.
So born and raised here, you also met your wife here as well at a very young age. What age was that, and what caught your eye?
Well, I'll tell you what, I was 8 years old, and she was 7 years old. And we had moved in to the south side, I guess in June, so summer was going on, and there was, you're 8 years old, and you're just outside playing. And we had bought an acre of land, so we had a lot of area. And her dad and mom just moved in next door, And I can remember it was in August. I can't remember the exact date of August, but when they finally drove up, I had saw her dad and them moving in, but I had never saw her. And then the day that they moved in, got down from her car, and I was sitting under a tree that was on our lot, and she came over, and man, I tell you what, it's just, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but man, just, she was just a beautiful young girl, and so friendly and so athletic. I mean, she was like tomboyish, and I never forget that day.
And you guys have been together through a ton of this process, and will, including high school. So rocked with you in high school, where you were playing basketball and multiple sports as well. You were pretty much a fantastic athlete leading up into college, right?
Yeah, at least I thought I was,
well,
but
somebody had to tell the story,
yeah.
Right?
No, my girlfriend at that time was my wife, and she told me different. She said, hey, you got to get a little bit, because she could run. I mean, I always, it's like we always said, the Brodhead family. I mean, I got a cousin that was an All-American in track and field at A&M and all of Hall of Fame. 200 meters. I mean, he was phenomenal. Probably still got the state record in Louisiana, but we were all fast. And so she could run with us, man, and that was just amazing to see that. So there was always a challenge, but yeah, we were very lucky. We were born with some gifts and stuff, and we tried to utilize them. Even though it was different back then, it was kind of left up to you. And I think that's what's great about my parents is they didn't really get involved too much in trying to tell me how to play sports and all that. It was just, hey, you playing or you working? That was it. Man, I'd much rather play than work.
Seriously, and keeping you honest throughout the whole process is Andrea.
Yeah, there's no doubt. She grounded me every day. It's like, hey, and she
she kept you in your place every day.
Yeah,
huh?
she did. And I'm gonna tell you what, she loved the basketball game as much or more than I did. And it was a shame that there was nothing for her back then. It was kind of before the Title IX thing when she was growing up. And she played, she was an all-state volleyball player and actually played for Yvette Girard, the softball coach that was here when
Hall of
Yvette was
Famer
first
now,
getting, yeah, kind of played for her. And then Yvette left kind of maybe during her junior year to take softball over here. But, yeah, we were connected. And when I saw Yvette for the Hall of Fame thing, I said, boy, she's looking down on you, smiling, because she loved her some Yvette Girard, So it was good. I was excited to see that. But, yep, just not the opportunity. And I think that's kind of what drove both of us is, we wanted our girls and the girls in Lafayette to have that opportunity to play sports because we know what it does for them, And at an early age, we, that was kind of a mission of hers, and she was more not the coach than more the developer. She was, Jerry Jones, of the
She was
Cowboys.
your GM,
she
your
was
president.
The big-time GM, It's like, and she kept every coach, and she was very particular on who she would let coach. She was very, you kind of had to prove yourself. And, boy, I tell you what, she developed some good ones, and not telling them how to do it, just make sure they're doing it right. I think that was big.
Let's take it back to your senior year in high school. You're deciding on what college you're going to go to. USL at the time? It's still down the street,
yes.
Right down the street. You decide to go there. Why?
Well, it's to me, that was kind of the thing to do. For me, I didn't have any offers other than junior college offers for basketball, and that's what I wanted to do, I wish Burrell Shipley would have been there. I look every day, I go into the Dome, and I see Burrell Shipley's name. 1957, he started here, and he finished in 1973, and I graduated in 75. I just wish that he would have still been here. I think I probably would have tried to walk on. I really do. I look back on it, and I think that's something that I should have did because I love the game so much. But I just had junior college offers, and I didn't really want to go away. And I had track scholarship offers, mainly in state, for pole vaulting, and and then back then, track scholarships were books of tuition, it wasn't full stuff. They kind of split them up, and had a chance to go to LSU. I had a chance to go here, and I just thought, man, I'm going to go ahead and pole vault and stay here and get my education. But the main reason when I came was because of sports. Right. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do at that time, and went into business and studied it. And so I came here, but I wasn't offered a baseball scholarship then either because I played American Legion. But the next year, after my freshman year in college, I played another year of American Legion because I was so young I could play, and I played. And back then they would give a Teague Moore scholarship for whoever excelled out of the whole American Legion region, and I was awarded it. And so I think Coach Lockwood, which was the baseball coach back then, automatically thought, hey, you playing baseball. So I walk in, and it's funny, the track coach was right next to the baseball coach, and I ran my year of track. I actually broke the school record my freshman year in track. So, my track coach says, well, you coming back? And then the baseball coach says, hey, when are you going to come get your locker? When are you going to start? We need to talk about scholarship. And I was like, no, I'm going to go ahead and stay with track. I'm love baseball to death, but I feel that my potential is there, and that's what I did.
But if Shipley was here and you walked on, track wouldn't have been in the equation.
No, and it would have been a long shot, But man, I just
you
keep
grew up
thinking
watching
about
Shipley's programs.
Oh my God,
that was your heart.
So good, and just how he developed kids. And that was the thing, he'd bring some kids in here, and he from all over the country, and man, he would, they were talented, but man, he would develop them, man, and he had a great coaching staff, and it's like. Kind of what kind of drove me too was watching them practice. A lot of times I was, we were so much around when we were young, and it was an open door policy with him. He wanted basketball to grow here, and then that's what he did. He grew it. So yeah, I tell you what, I loved the opportunity to play for him because in my high school career when I started, my wife would tell me, you saw Coach Shipley at the game. He would come to almost all our games, and this is girls basketball. And I thought he was coming to the men's game, the boys' game after, but he would come in the office after, and we would talk basketball and how we were so much alike in how we looked at the game and all that. But again, I watched him, so I stole from him.
Right. Of course, we're alike.
Yeah, I did.
Right.
I did. I stole a lot of things from him, but and just his personality was just so outgoing. I mean, I don't know. It's just I'm proud to say that I was from USL back then because of him.
If he says, "You got it. You're the 12th man on our bench. You got to stop track, though." What happens?
Oh, I'm going with him.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no doubt. And I loved track and all that, but and I probably still could have did track because I was just a vaulter. And,
Okay.
it didn't for me. I was a pretty average vaulter, and just I wish I wouldn't have got hurt. Then I may have been above average vaulter, but it's just kind of natural to me because we had started at a young age vaulting. And so it's like riding a bike. It was real easy. Once you learn how to do it, it's pretty easy to do. It's difficult to learn, but yeah, Burl Shipley would have. Oh yeah,
he'd have got you off that.
Oh yeah,
that
he could have
track,
said 15th man. I would have gone.
While you're in college and you're doing well on the track end, you and your wife are together, and some news comes your way. You guys are pregnant. That happens to you, your sophomore year?
My junior year.
Your junior year.
Yeah,
that
my
happens.
junior year.
Now, did she go to USL?
Yeah, she came here and she was in merchandising. She was very blessed. She comes off the farm, and her dad did really well. He farmed all the land in the South and stuff like that. And when she was coming up, she always wanted to have a dress shop. And her dad had a really good year on the farm, and they had a dress shop that came up for sale, and he bought it for her. And so in high school, she'd go to school, and as soon as she would get out of school, if she didn't have volleyball, she would go to the shop, and she ran. It was called Farm Fair Fashions, and it was owned by her family. And none of her sisters took as much interest in it as she did. Her and her mom did. And when she finished high school, they changed the name to Andrea's. It was Andrea's Fashions. And she had it on Pinhook, and would come to school in merchandising here, and then run her shop too.
Nice.
Now she never finished her degree because after she got pregnant, she focused more on her shop, and she had her shop for 30 years, before she sold it.
Wow. And but that news though, when
Yes.
she gets pregnant, you both are athletes. How does that conversation come about? How'd she bring that to you?
Well, she we were always together, so it was
She's always been
like,
honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, hey, it was kind of delayed. It's like, I think I'm pregnant. So okay, well, let's make sure. And we were next door neighbors, so our parents, her parents were like my parents, and my parents were definitely like her parents. So we just had a meeting, all of us, and say, hey, this is where we at. And her dad was great. He said, we have options. It's not like we have to do something today. Let's think about it and all that. And says no. For me, it was no thinking. So we're going to get married, and Andrew was the same way. Hey, we're going to get married, and we'll make this thing work. And I mean, just so much support from our family. I don't know. I know a lot of young kids. It's a difficult situation, but man, I learned how important the two families being together to make one kind of work at a young age, and to allow me to continue to do what I was doing and finish my schooling, and it was great,
And that's a key point, because with that family support, you never felt like your life was ending because a child was coming.
Not at all. I just, the only thing that I thought in my mind, and you're not as confident because you've never been a parent before, is how am I going to be as a parent? I knew how I was going to be as a husband, and because me and Andrew had been together for so long, and it was the plan to get married after we graduated. It's not like we didn't have a plan, but it just got kind of moved up. They always say, God may delay, not deny. This was like no delaying. Hey, this is time. It's time for y'all to build a family, and we did. And I looked back at my daughter's life, Ashley, and it's like all these track guys and everybody on this camp. We were on campus, so we lived on campus. They had to kick us off campus after we finished school. But, all these track guys and even baseball guys, if a boy would grab her and bring her to Albert. I mean, she was dragged all over from everybody. And what a great life, huh? I mean, to be associated with all these athletes that, they just loved her. And so that, to me, makes it even that much more special to be here.
You know firsthand, family is kind of the UL way, huh?
There's no doubt. I think we recruit that, and, a lot of people talk about it, but we live it, man. It's in, it's lived here every day. And, I think it started way back, but, Dr. Savo was here during those times, and he knows how important family is. I mean, look how great of a family he has. And so it just carries on, there's nothing, he's so personable, and I think it just makes us, follow that lead.
You're in college and your first child comes out. You're in the hospital room. You scared?
A little bit. It's like we didn't know what it was if it was gonna be a boy. And, I'm thinking, okay, hey, we got a little boy, maybe. I'm already, thinking all that, and then we get a girl, and it's like, whoa, this is even gonna be different for me. We were 3 boys in our family, and really 4 boys and I had 1 sister. And so, it was kind of like we were kind of leaning toward that when it was a girl. It was like, whoa, it's going to be a little, but it wasn't, man. It was just, she did. She was like part of what we did. Everything that we did, we continued to do once we got married, but she was just always with us and tagging along. And then, my parents and my wife's parents, they would fighting over her. They wanted her to stay with them. So we had always, it was just, it was just great, I can remember, we would take off from here on campus on bikes, and she had a little seat behind me, and we'd roll out and ride out towards St. Thomas Moores where we lived off of Verot. And we do that almost every weekend, just ride out, and she just had her sunglasses on, a little hat on, and just, hey, enjoying life. And we were just young. When you're young, you're learning, when she got sick, man, we call her mom or my mom. That was our doctors, man, and, get all that stuff done. And we learned, we learned to let them grow, too, I think. I thought out of all our kids, Ashley probably had the best childhood because we didn't really know. Mm-hmm. Now once we thought we knew with the other kids, we probably wasn't quite as good,
Right,
it's funny how it is, lack of experience, but want to and passion can go a long way.
How impressed were you looking at a 19, 20-year-old woman in Andrea as a mother?
Oh, it was just so natural for her, being that she grew up in that type of family. She was blessed to have 5 brothers and sisters, and she was the 6th one, and kind of right in the middle. We were both third childs, and we always laughed about it. We were both third childs, and it's just like kind of not being the oldest and not being the youngest of our family, kind of right in the middle. I think it strengthened us, I think we knew what we wanted, we knew how we wanted to do it, and that's how she was, man. She was just, and she had so much compassion for people. That was, she never talked, I've never heard her talk bad about anybody, and she's always get on me about it, like, hey, let's take the positive route. She was always like that, whether it was good or bad. She always was positive, and, so it made her the mother that, man, my kids really miss right now.
Yeah. And she stays with you. You make it through college, graduate in 1980, but basketball is still entrenched heavily in the family, and you keep that going. Let's fast forward to Tourlands Catholic, where you become one of the most winningest coaches in the entire state. 10 years coaching girls basketball. And what is that feeling like? You've always had basketball. Coaching women has been a passion of yours as well. And then you get to high school, and you're just tearing through all the competition. Yeah,
well, it's like we were doing bitty basketball and AAU basketball at the time, and I had 2 coaches that had were looking to get the Tourlands job, and I got a call from the athletic director, Miss Brodhead, Terry Brodhead. I had association with her because she was had coached at St. Thomas More, and asked me to come in. So I thought I was going in for a different reason, try to help her decide on a couple of coaches. And sitting down, she kind of told me the story of what was going on at Tourlands and how they needed somebody mature to come in or older to come in. And I was not looking for a job. I was farming, doing extremely well on the farm, and she kind of just said all the right things. And again, you go from and really it's not about money, but you go from making a good living on the farm to making $18,000-$20,000 teaching. That was a big decision for me to leave the farm. But again, it was
and let me not gloss over that. because that farm was doing extremely well.
Extremely well, yeah.
You want to kind of describe what you were doing?
Yeah, I was, and it was because of USL that I was doing it. We had a grain farm, and we were approached by USL. They had a guy looking for somebody to grow cucumbers for pickles, and it was Cajun Jeff Products out of St. Martinville, Louisiana. He was looking for somebody to do it locally, and we just couldn't do it. We had our hands in everything, and just so happened one Saturday we had some land that we were planting some milo, and it was left over, and we were going to go to soybeans. We called Dr. DeSalle, was the ag teacher here, and told him, hey, we have this amount. Maybe call your guy, and maybe we can look at it. And Jimmy Beard, before, he's the owner of Cajun Chef, before we could blink an eye, he was out there with seed. And so on that Saturday, we kind of, we planted the first 10 acres. And on Monday, they were up, and it was just beautiful. It was just like, whoa, we didn't know what to expect. And so these harvesters cost about $250,000 as an investment. Jimmy Beard said, plant the rest of the 60 acres, I'll provide the harvest. And I'm like, okay. And again, I'm business-minded too, but he is too. It really was a great fit. And so we went from growing 60 acres the first year to 1,000 acres at the end of what we were doing. And the weather was, it depended on the weather so much, but the last 5 years you couldn't have got better weather, and really was blessed to have a great crop. And in great land, it's like you say, an athlete, when you recruit, you want to recruit the best athletes you can. Right. I had the best land, I think, in Lafayette Parish. It was underground drainage. The guy that had farmed it before had retired, and man, he kept it fertile. It was clean. So I was kind of cheating a little bit. I recruited the best land, and it just grew crop after crop after crop. So I was very blessed.
So leaving that farm, it took Andrea. This is your passion.
Yeah.
You might want to attack this.
Yeah, I wanted to coach, but man, I didn't. I knew I had to provide for my family and stuff. And she still had her dress shop, and we were dabbling in a lot of things with our AAU programs and biddy programs and doing all that. And for her to allow me to really do my passion, and never planning to be here at UL, always planning to stay in coaching in high school and develop a winning program. In the 100 years of girls basketball in Lafayette Parish, nobody had ever won at that time. It was in 1997. No one had ever won a state championship. And, right away, that was my goal, when after I decided to take the job, I turned to Andrew and I said, we're going to win a state championship. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I promise you we're going to win. He says, I know. I know you will. And it took us 5 years, and it took some adjustment and all that, but I had to hire. It was funny. It was kind of all in the family. The first state championship we won, my oldest daughter was my assistant, and my youngest daughter was my starting point guard. So that was a lot of fun to say, hey, we did it as a family. And here go you, a true family, man. Here we are, My middle daughter, Blair, was a freshman and was MVP of the state her freshman year. She was a really good player. So, again, I had good land to make good crops. Man, I had some good players, man. Yeah. I had good players. And I was told that, I had kind of coached around with Danny Broussard at St. Thomas More and had great kids there. And then we went to Turlings, Sonny Chaponche, our athletic director, and Terry Baudier. Walking through the school, they said, you're going to see some kids you've never seen before, that the way their work ethic is second to none, and the expectations from their parents are second to none. And I'm like, well, no, I don't think it's going to be any different, but it was different. I was blessed to have kids that would really run through the wall for you, practice at 5:30 in the morning, 9 o'clock at night. It didn't make a difference. Man, they wanted to be the best that they could be. And so I ran into I was lucky enough to go to a place where we could develop a program real quick.
And that's pretty awesome. Also, even more awesome is you got the green light from your wife to say, hey, we are making a lot of money, but I know this is what you want to do. What a special feeling that is. Huh?
Oh, yeah. I think about it every day. It's like there's no way we would be where we are without, her being a big part of it every step of the way, So, and, it's changed me, It's like I feel like sometimes I have to stop myself because would do or speaking the same way, or almost saying the same words she would be saying. And so she's taught me well.
She stopped me. That success keeps coming, and then all of a sudden, your alma mater calls. They have a position open. What was it like getting that phone call from?
It was
University of
great.
Louisiana?
You know, my wife got the first call actually from a booster, and I'm gonna say his name is Jerry Moe because I owe a lot to him, and I owe a lot to a lot of people. You know, Jake Delhomme. I know you just spoke to him, and Jake, and a lot of them were pulling for me. You know, the first time before that I wanted it, and I didn't get it the first time that I interviewed, and there was so many people that were pulling for me, and so I actually went out to McNeese. But then when my wife got the call, I was coaching at McNeese, and actually we were in the NCAA tournament. We were getting ready to play Kentucky, and I got a call saying that the position was open. I didn't get a call. I got a call from my wife saying the position's open, and it's Mr. Jerry Moe called, and he's a huge supporter of UL. He's just passed away a few years ago, and to see if I would even be interested. And, man, my wife answered for me. She says he will be definitely interested. And so when I did, you know, talk to Scott Farmer about it, and he was our AD back then here, that it was open, and he wanted to meet. I was so excited, you know. But I still had nerves, you know, because I wasn't at that time when I heard and got the call. I didn't know exactly what they were looking for. And a meeting that we had an unofficial meeting with Scott Farmer. It was one of the best meetings I ever had. And that was the question, is direction that UL, you know, what did UL want? You know, not so much what I could do, but what did they want, and making sure we were on the same page. And, man, it was funny. We were on the same page, man. And I was very blessed to, you know, go through the interview and get the job, man. And, man, that day, I'll never forget that day. We were balling crawfish at a friend's house, and I got a call from Scott Farmer and said, "Hey, you got the job." It's like, man,
What a great day that is.
What? I mean, it was
a little crawfish and a call.
I'm eating crawfish with some of my best friends,
Right.
and, you know, we just jumping up and down. You should have seen them. They were, you know, they were more excited than I was, man. And, you know, just I just remember that night going home with my wife, and she says, "Wow, what are we gonna do?" You know, it was we, and, you know, just not to get ahead of myself, but a few days before she died, she said that's one of the things that she would miss the most would be, she said, "Man, I know you're going to win big, really big. And, man, I'm going to miss that. I want to be here for that." So that was kind of tough, but she's here. You know, Deacon calls her mom. My assistant coach, Deacon, he says, Mom, if something happens, Mom just did that. She's still here.
2015, Andrea passes with cancer. After you started building your way for the women's basketball program, and she's there every step of the way. What was it like telling your team that their mother has passed?
Well, you know, it's like I think it was hard, but they knew it was coming to an end. You know, thanks for the team. The team was so close to her during that 15 season. You know, she had got really sick, and she didn't like her appearance. She was a very beautiful woman, so her appearance changed in her eyes, not in mine, but in her eyes. So she quit coming to a lot of the games. And, man, I tried to convince her, and some of the players would try to convince her. Some of the mothers of the players would try to convince her. And we got into a conference tournament, and I don't know how, but she decided to start coming back. And, man, that was huge in the locker room that day. It was just absolutely huge. So now I knew how connected she was, but I didn't think it was that much. And we go on to win the WBI championship, and she was right there holding the net and just got some of that. But to tell the kids, I mean, I felt that in 2015, my family, myself and my wife, taught our team a lot to persevere. The day she died, it changed. Everything changed in the fact that my players taught me how to persevere. And that, to me, that was powerful. And, you know, Scott Farmer had told me that, you know, it's like the year that we were struggling with her, sickness. He said, "You're gonna teach those kids so much," and I didn't understand it. I didn't, and we did. After it was all over, we did. So to tell them was tough, man. Oh, even kids that were on the McNeese team struggled so much, man. I remember right before she died, I was on the phone with the little point guard from McNeese. She's playing in Spain right now, Jalen Johnson, white. And she couldn't stop crying. I was trying to console her right when my wife died. I'll never forget that, being on the phone. My daughter was on the phone, says, "Look, I can't help her anymore, Dad. She needs to talk to you." And I did. And you know, the Kiki Villes and the Kia Wilridges and all that, it showed me how we taught respect, because, boy, they respected my wife so much. Even the mothers of those kids, you know, of those players. So that was a tough day. And for the funeral home, I mean, it was tough to go through it. But then the funeral itself, man, I'm Catholic, so my priest is Father Blessing. And, you know, we had close to 100 ex-players dressed in, instead of Acadiana stars, they were dressed in what we called, we had a shirt made up Andrea stars. And, man, it was powerful. You know, the priest didn't want him to go in front. So what he wanted, and it was a great idea, he lined up everybody from the last pew to the first pew down the aisle. And just to see that, man, and the respect from high school coaches, college coaches, through all that was real powerful. But especially my players. We had a kid that played on the national championship team at South Carolina a couple of years ago, flew back for the funeral. And now you got to remember, they practicing. You know, the coach Don Staley allowed her to fly back, and she read a poem that she wrote that was powerful. And, you know, it's those things, you know, that you look at life and you know how you've kind of contributed, how she contributed to life. So it was good. It was difficult with our team. But at the same time, they were powerful. I got Brooklyn Arsenal working for me now, and Brooklyn was part of that team. And every day I came to work, Brooklyn would have something written in my desk, you know, telling me, "Hey, you strong, you need something, coach, blah, blah, blah." And we all grew together, you know. So it was good.
Andrea and family seem to go hand in hand. You know, how much did the UL community, the players, help you from going into a dark place after losing someone that
it was good. It was really good, you know, to have, you know, my kids were strong kids, and, you know, to have them to kind of lean on, my Ashley, Bo, and Blair, you know, that helped me a lot. But I took the approach of, man, I know what Andrea would want me to do. She would want me to keep fighting, you know. We always say that we builders and fighters. So we started building the program now. You know, we're going to do it without her, so we got to start fighting a little bit. And I think that was a huge thing, you know, taken from her. But, you know, the community here is phenomenal. I still say that I wouldn't be coaching today if I'd have been anywhere else. You know, Tony Robichaud told me that the other day. He said, you know, we probably had opportunities to go elsewhere, especially for him to go coach. I mean, such a great coach. But he stays here 25 years, 23 years, or whatever he's been here. And he said, you know, we couldn't have and he lost his mom. He said, we couldn't have been there for our two beautiful women if we were somewhere else. God put us here, and now we were able to coach the sport we love, where we love to coach it, and still be and have that experience of helping our loved ones, you know. And I'm like, Tony, you're right, man. I mean, if I would have still even been at McNeese, it would have been impossible to go through the things that we went through and still coach. But here, this community, especially with this president, Dr. Savoy, and his wife, Miss Gail, was just so supportive of, you know, we were one of their own. That's how I felt, you know. And so the community, from Charlie Moorclaw on, I mean, I can't even name all the great people that just hugged us, and just like, we never felt that we were alone. And that's huge, you know. And my wife was real private about it, you know. She wasn't like me. I'm spreading the word that we're gonna knock this thing out, you know. We got to fight this cancer, and we got to, you know. And I'm all over the place, and she's real calm and like, hey, okay, you know. And you know, we did a lot of treatments and stuff like that, and they had a lot of things coming out that I wish we could have held on a little bit longer, but you know, the community saved me. I promise you, they saved me.
You got grandbabies now. How's it feel to see you and Andrea's legacy continue?
Yeah, it's awesome. You know, you have 5 granddaughters, and you know, that's what we do is coach basketball and on the girls' side. So it's fun, man. I tell you what, you know, to see, and that's to me when she would brighten up the most is when she would have her granddaughters come in the house, or if we're at a restaurant waiting for them, she would just light up. And most of them kind of take after their dads. They're blonde, blue eyes.
Okay.
And the last one, well, the second to last one that was born, I swear, dark hair, dark eyes, looks just like my wife. I mean, we took pictures of when she was 2 years old, and the little girl, Presley's her name, it's 2 years old, and she's tomboy. She's, what do you want to be when you grow up? A boy, you know, so it's awesome, you know, to see that. So it's a blessing to have, you know, grandkids, and that's the only thing I wish you could have had a little bit more time to share that, you know. Our oldest one's 13, and the youngest one, Andy Kay, which is kind of named after her, is 2 years old, and they all have a little bit of her in them, which is great.
They dribbling yet?
Yeah, they all in Biddy. All of them play Biddy basketball. Even the last one that's 2 years old, I mean, she's jump stopping already and doing some things. My daughters are running the Acadiana Biddy program, which they got about 1,000 kids in it in the Youngsville area. And really, it services all of Lafayette. It's great, and all the kids are in it. You know, all my friends' kids, all the best athletes. You know, like the Jake Delomes, and I mean, you name almost everybody that's played professional sports have a kid now, and they're going to be in the Biddy program. You know, or they have touched the Biddy program. Kevin Falk, what's the guy that played for Arizona out of St. Martinville? I'm drawing a blank, man. He was a great player at LSU. His son played in it. I mean, we just had so many good players come in and so many great coaches in the Biddy program. And I'm so proud of my daughters to carry on my wife's legacy. And they're doing a phenomenal job. You know, you start with 24 kids in 1985. I think we started 86. And now it's over 1,000. So we affecting the community. We're paying back this community for what they've done for us.
And speaking of those babies, you got a couple on your University of Louisiana ball club going now. The women's basketball season is underway, and you got freshmen all up and through that roster that are getting some key minutes. No doubt. And, man, they talented. You know, to me, it's just in the college level, you got the experience, you know, and learn how to fight through things and stuff like that. And I'm very confident that these kids are a perfect fit for what we want to build. Their work ethic is second to none. Their belief in what we're trying to do is second to none. There's so many positive things that are going on right now, even though, you know, Tony said that a few years ago about our program. You know, you may not see some of the wins right now, but, you know, it's an invisible climb, he calls it. You know, behind the scenes, we're getting better at everything we do. And the results quite aren't there yet, but I promise you they're going to be there. This is the team right here that of the future for women's basketball. I think this is the team that we've been waiting on to build a championship team with. You know, everybody else that we had before, the Kia Wilridges and the Kiki Villes and the Brooklyn Arsenals, built us up to this point. And we're finally able to recruit that kind of kid that has the talent with the work ethic. You know, that's big for us. Skylar Goodwin's kind of the face of this movement. How do you feel? Freshman year, you threw her in the fire, and now she's a veteran sophomore. Your thoughts on Skylar? I mean, you see me shaking my head right now. She's just phenomenal, man. I just, you know, it's like we have some coaches that come in and just say how fundamental she is, and it's something that we didn't do. She was very blessed to be around. Her parents both coached, and they taught her how to play basketball the right way. Just the little things, and then she goes into high school, and, you know, at Parkview Baptist, they did a wonderful job of
continue in that fundamental part of her that's hard to find with athleticism. And she can shoot the ball, she can handle, she can pass, plus she can defend, and it fits us pretty good. We don't have to sit in the zone because she's just an offensive threat. She can play on the defensive side, and she doesn't get enough credit for that, I think. Everybody looks at her on the offensive side, but and so coachable, and we're just hoping, she's only a sophomore. We're hoping that leadership comes out of her, and she just takes the team and runs, man. She's got that much talent. A few years ago, Arkansas State just kind of swept everybody, and because of the Gamble kid, Adrian Gamble was preseason player of the year and player of the year for 3 years straight. And man, she reminds me of the Gamble kid.
Really?
Yes. Oh, she plays just like her. And the Gamble kid played point, and we're really not a point because we recruited her out of high school, and she had signed with Denver, and then kind of didn't work out there, and ended up at Arkansas State. But man, I watched her play for a lot in high school and in college, and man, Skylar Goodwin is a mold of her. I think they're both and they're great leaders, and I mean both of them great students too.
Yeah, and you've got some young guards. I know you moved Skylar from basically your primary ball handler to forward now, and your guards are so young. How much do we expect? Is Skylar going to get back into that groove, or are you going to trust your freshmen?
Well, last year they didn't really. We were hunting down a point guard because of Jasmine Thomas's injury and stuff like that. So we kind of threw Skylar into the fire, which made her so much of a better player, having to go through that. And then now, when we struggle a bit, every coach looks at me and says, Skylar. They just, we know we have something to fall back on. But I really believe that these freshmen they're tough, and they're going to work, and they're going to work through it. They're going to learn the system. Having a pressing team is probably not the best thing to start off the season with. But as we prepare, like today, I mean, you see my practice plan right here. It's got a lot of work in the passing, and how do you develop a press breaker, not just a press breaker and running it, but how do you do the little things within the press breaker, like stepping to the ball, not throwing the ball over your head, pass fakes, shot fakes, all those things come into play in press breaking. And so I have a lot of breakdown stuff today that we're going to work on. And it's kind of good, though. It kind of wakes everybody up and say, hey, these little things are going to make the big things possible. So we're going to go back to work. And, I really believe Andrea Canoia, Brandy Williams, your Diamond Morrison, I think they're going to develop into some nice point guards, And the great thing about it is they're so much of a combo guard where they're scoring, too. Mm-hmm. And so you can work them in, You can have actually, once they're going to get more comfortable, we can have all three of them in at the same time.
How far can the team go this year?
I think it's up to us. We can go as far as we want to if we develop. And I really believe this. If we develop our rebounding first, we're going to have to rebound. And that's going to be a committee. This is team rebounding. I'm not talking about Ty Doucette and Sky having a double-double all the time. I'm talking about these guards, rebounding. And some of the things that we're really, really going to work on is able to keep other offenses off the boards. I'm not really worried about. I'm not a big offensive rebounding guru when it comes to that. I usually send 2 or 3 people back. So, we'll send Ty and Sky to the boards, and if we get some offensive rebounds, great. But it's going to be on the defensive side. Can we all rebound as a team? And I think that's going to be the big part. If we can do that, I mean, I don't see why we can't win the conference tournament. The conference is going to be a little bit difficult to win because of those 18 games. I don't like 18 games. It makes the season long with injuries, and we'll just be getting back, 2 great rebounders for us, and Kendall Best and Coco Daniels or Kristen Daniels. That's their primary job. So we'll be getting those back in December. And so how are they going to be able to get themselves in condition and play for, to start a conference? Is it going to be right? And we got right off the bat every year. I've been here 7 years. We got Arkansas State to start the season with a young squad. Yeah. And there's no excuses. We're going to show up and play. Right. We'll show up and play. But I like our chances. I mean, I think we have as good a chance as anybody else to go in and you still got to win the conference tournament. Our goal as a team is to get to the NCAA tournament. So that means we have to be conference tournament champs. I believe in it, I know our kids believe in it. They know that. I mean, a lot of them are winners already coming in, and they know what it takes to win. They just don't have the experience. And so it's our job as coaches to give them the experience and make sure that we keep on correcting and getting better every day. So I look at it every day, what Billy Napier has done, man. It's phenomenal. I watch a lot of what he says and does, and you can see the improvement every day. It's called the invisible climb, and that's what Billy is doing with his football team. It's going to be phenomenal, when he really gets his guys in and his system in fully in, because he's got the guys believing, and that's the start.
What's the next step for Garry Brodhead? I mean, this is your 9th season. You're born and raised here. Any thoughts of kind of looking out the window and maybe going to a bigger opportunity? Or
no, it's like I always say, and people, when I got involved in sports, it was never about money, because I left money. I left a job
that's a fact.
I could have did really, really well, Right. And I didn't really want to coach in college that much when I went into high school and did AAU, because I had a lot of great players that were playing for us in AAU that were going to college, and I saw the recruiting process, and it's really not for me, because it's a dog eat dog world. It's kind of how it is. And I thought, well, I'm going to go coach in high school, and that's going to be great. I'm going to be done, because I'm not in it for the money, and I don't, I'm good where I'm at. And then one of my ex-players gets the head job, and my wife said, might be pretty good for you to do. And if you ever want to get the UL job, you might have to go there to do it. So I did. And the thing that kind of kept me away from it was I didn't think I could affect young lives in college, because I thought they would, you're 18 and you moving out of the house, you're done.
Yeah.
Well, how wrong was I? I liked high school because every day I taught freshmen in high school, and every day I had them, and I felt that we were changing lives, both me and my wife.
Still part of that molding.
Yeah,
process.
that molding.
Right.
So I was like, nah, I don't want to go into college, because I'm not going to have that. But boy, I was wrong. I mean, now they become independent, even more so away from their parents. So you become their parents. And so you try to help them to get through those 4 years that is really preparing them for life. It really is. It's the last stage, to me, the last time they're going to be kind of directed and can be, you'll have a big impact on them. And so we have, when I got into McNeil, I'm like, whoa. I was really surprised. And, we did a lot of team building. We did a lot of family stuff there. And then coming here, it was even bigger, So, it's, to me, that we made the right decision, but I wasn't very sure about it, and the direction I'm going from here, man, I want to be here. I mean, I hope I live to 100 and coach to 100 over here. I mean, to me, it's not about going to another level, I think I'm at the highest level I need to be at, but I want to win big. I mean, I know people think I'm crazy. Can we win a national championship here? I mean, shoot. We got the same amount of scholarships, we got a great facility now in the Cajun Dome. We got a great administrators and all that, and they've handed us these resources. Let's go out and recruit. Let's do it here in small town USA, man, right here in Lafayette. I believe that. But you got to build on it. We got to win some conference championship. That. Right. Number one thing, but I want to be here, man. I love being here. When I graduated in business in 1980, me and my wife were living what they call in Vet Village, which is campus married apartments. And I was in here a year after I graduated, and Coach Cole called me, my track coach, and said, "Brodhead, are you still in Vet Village?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You graduated, you got to get out." Well, I'm expecting Dr. Savoy to call me after I retire and say, "Hey, you got to get off campus, because I want to be here, man. I just want to do whatever, As I tell our administration and our athletic director every day, is like, I'm not just here for women's basketball. I'm here for all the sports. I'm here for every academic professor here. I mean, I'm bought in. I owe a lot to the university. And so I'm paying back any kind of way I can. But, man, our goal is for our kids to win a championship. We want to win, We won WBI championships. That's the third tournament, considered the third tournament. Or it's kind of, to me, the New Orleans Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the New Orleans Bowl of women's basketball. So we've won that twice. Come on, can we get into the WNIT or NCAA and win that, But you got to take care of your conference first, and we're going to focus on that. I'm really excited about the commitments we have for next year. We have no seniors, so we're looking at having the same team we have this year with experience, bringing in 3 freshmen that are from Louisiana, that are top players in Louisiana, to give them some experience to help us out to win a championship. That's the goal.
We'll end on this, Coach. You got 5 little ones that are kind of close to you, and you got some en routes to their parents. How can we get all 5 of those those Brodhead grandbabies in UL uniforms and suiting up for you?
I look at them and I'm not sure, because they're a little bit different than they're a lot like my oldest daughter and not like my middle daughter. You kind of look at them and see. I think they want to be in charge. So I think they're going to be.
They're not listening to Grandpop on the sideline.
No, I think for the most part we may have a player or two in Brendan Boyd. I mean, you could see that, man. She practices a lot. She puts a lot of time. She's tall already. I think she's in the 6th grade right now. But then the rest, there's 2 or 3 of them that look like they want to coach or they want to be administrators or whatever. So I'm not sure. Time tells. But whatever they want to become, I'm really, really proud of them, because you can just tell they have that drive, and their parents have done a good job in raising them and being disciplined and stuff. And you know what? The most important thing is being loving. They're very loving kids. And, a lot of people, when they choose their grandpa's name, Pawpaw, Mama, whatever, I chose Coach. So when they're around me, they'll say Coach, and everybody kind of looks at, if they don't know us, and it's a great feeling. It really is. To out of all my players that call me Coach, those 5 players or those 5 grandkids, when I hear it, it sends chills to me. It makes me feel really, really proud.
Thank you so much for the time, Coach.
Hey, thank you. You do a great job, man. We're so blessed to have you, man.
I appreciate that.
Man, it's amazing.
I appreciate that. Good luck on the rest of the season. Health to everybody. Let's get some healthy players out there, Coach.
Let's go, man. Let's go Cajuns, man. Y'all come out and see us play. Come on, community. We're for you. Be for us. Thank you.